My name is Georgia Schultz. My maiden name was Georgia Enfield, but everybody calls me Joe. I was born in Mankato, oh my, long time ago, and grew up in town, walked down to our store after I was 11 years old to help my grandma in the store. You probably know that store today as Ma and Pop's Ice Cream Shop, but it started out way back in the 1850s as a saloon. It was built by Adam Frendel, and he was injured in the Indian uprising. So later on, he sold it to my great-grandfather. And then when he died, my grandma turned it into a grocery store. And when she was elderly, my grandma and her husband made an Enfield's store. I have a few pictures. I like this one. It's a picture of the beer truck out in front of the store. And if you go in to Ma and Pop's and look up on the wall, up above the ice cream, there's my dad sitting on the counter, my grandma in the store, my great-grandma with the beer truck. I'm really proud that that store has been around since 1858, one of the oldest buildings in town. Across the street was Mahowald's Hardware, and Bert Mahowald liked to ride motorcycles. So did my dad. He had one early on. He also had one of the first cars, an old Model T, which his mom helped him buy because she wanted to go for rides around Mankato. And when I was a kid, I know where the coolest place in town is to drive on a hot summer night. And that's Glenwood Avenue. And that's where I lived the first 23 years of my life. I played up and down those hills, and we had caves, and the neighbor kids like Levon Jackson and Jim and Bob Gensel, the Spots boys, Don and Bob, all of us played up and down Glenwood Avenue. We even dammed up that little creek, and in the wintertime we ice skated on the creek. Of course, it's gone now. They covered it up. One of the things that I remember that I think's interesting is when I was young, and I lived in one of the houses and looked across the street on Glenwood, and there weren't any trees. It was all open, pretty much just some brush growing up. I always wondered why there weren't any trees, because nowadays there's fairly big trees again. And then one time I read in an old newspaper back in the 30s that the city cut down all the trees on the hillside at Glenwood and made it into firewood and piled it along the road. And if you were poor in the 30s, you could go and get, wood for your furnace. So kind of interesting. I guess what I remember most about growing up in Mankato was you could walk anywhere you wanted to go. I finally had a bicycle too, but I walked in the summertime down to our store every day, usually on 5th Street, sometimes on Broad. Sometimes I'd go all the way down to Front Street. It was 2 miles and 2 blocks. And if I was good and I got all my work done in the store, my grandmother would give me a dime and I could go to Turtle Pool in the afternoon and go swimming.